No dobrze, musieliśmy powtórzyć walkę, ale poszło o wiele szybciej, bo jednak wyszliśmy tam zupełnie inaczej. W sensie też z dołu, ale zaczęliśmy od zaklęcia i...
Troszeczkę już
A z tym
obici
to chyba
byli.
da się tak pogadać.
On tak macha tymi rękoma.
No mogło. No jest zatruty?
No, impossible. I'm clearer now than I have been in days. Of that much I am certain.
No mi jest powiedzieć.
The Spider Queen. It was she who poisoned us. She who would see her spawn.
Może jak ją zabijemy, to przestanie tutaj tak wiać.
No raczej nie.
Yes, I can nearly remember. We are travelers, you see. Traders and merchants, ever en route from the village. But the high winds proved too great for travel. And so we made an early camp that first night. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, the plains suddenly, as though she had appeared in a thunderclap. She was there among us. And none so much as fathomed the word escape before she'd stung us. But we did not die, no. Her bite was not a poison of death.
Nie wiem, się w pajączka nie zamienił.
Within minutes, each of us had succumbed. Hail to the Queen! The refrain sounded over and over, first in our minds, then from our
To
very
tamci też byli zatruci.
My ich zatłukliśmy, dlatego oni ich bili. Znaczy
No.
pająki ich biły.
Dokładnie tak.
To było, nie zmyślam, no.
No jak chcę golonka. Ola Boga, tu jakieś miasto jest. To jest goblińskie miasto?
Ale takie normalne, że nie chcą nas bić?
Wow. Nie wiem co tam jest, za daleko jeszcze jesteśmy.
Nie, to wygląda, że tu to raczej będą nas chcieli bić.
Tak, tylko pytanie czyje to jest? Co to za miejsce w ogóle?
No widziałem na mapie,
Wow.
że będzie coś takiego płomiennego, nie?
Wow. Fajnie tutaj, ale chyba to by było trzeba najpierw pajęczą królową zabić.
No chyba tak. Wyszło po kolei, chyba mi się wydaje.
Ulepszacz.
O, tam jest kapliczka! Znaczy nie kapliczka, tylko teleport, tak trochę dalej.
No by się przydało go ten...
Dałoby się, ale złą stroną idziemy.
A to już... Co to za dźwięki tu się w ogóle wydobywają? Wow.
Jak to się tu wla...
Stara elficka tarcza.
No nie, to tędy
Nie
to nie
wiem co tu
dojdziemy
się
do tego.
dzieje, nie wiem co tu się dzieje, ale... Ja wiem, ale tu skrzynia była. Ale taki, powiem wam, że... Wariactwo tam się dzieje.
O. To by się zgodziło.
To nie wiem, to co robimy jak napotkamy jakichś ludzi, którzy czczą te pająki.
To kill him.
To chyba nie, to chyba pójdziemy do tej królowej i ją ubijemy.
No, raczej tak. Dali się omamić.
O, tu jest ul.
Tak? A ja.
A królowa jest gdzieś tu na prawo, prawda? Matko, ja już nie wiem gdzie jest.
Chodźmy tutaj, zrobimy takie kółko.
Ja się boję, że my na coś wleziemy zaraz. Coś tu pusto. O, tu zielona trawka.
Tam jest skrzynka. O, tu
Od
fajnie, już
pieca.
wiatr. Tutaj nie ma wiatru. Oj, muzyczka jest przyjemniejsza.
No. Chwilowo. A tu jest jakiś targ.
Ej, a nie wiem,
zlewy.
czy nie powinni... Ej, chodźcie może, bo tutaj jest ten teleport taki, co do niego jest zawalony ten. Ale
O,
ciekawe, bo tu... Ejo, jest jakieś tarty.
Co tu za
To jest
ekipa?
Nie,
Nie.
owca, jaka owca?
chodź pogadamy. Jeszcze tu pajęczycę trzeba ubić. Ty jak poleciał, zielony zobaczył i pobiegł.
Czemu?
Be praised that we have made
Panie
it out
będzie
of that hell-sent
gadaszy.
sandstorm.
Szczodrek.
The hour grows so very late, so very quickly. Pace.
Szybko
I told you
nauczono.
parts of the saga that is my life. Hunter,
Będziesz się zwierzał.
but I have yet to divulge the true reasons for my haste. Perhaps, at long last, I had better do so. So I shall.
Opowiedz mi o swojej kochance.
Piraka.
A co ty jesteś, ty?
How I miss
Się interesujesz.
miss the brilliance of her
Cię nie
mind that was
interesuj.
both as sparkling and as unbreakable as the diamonds that adorned her body. Oh, and how I miss her body. 1,000 artists I could have commanded, show me beauty. But she would have effortlessly surpassed their every endeavor, and yet, true happiness. That commodity more precious and even more fleeting than the dominion of kings, sang to us like the nightingale, only to depart come the dawn of our first year. And undoubtedly I have answers.
She was weakness, childhood, the one weight dragging him down from his dark ambition. And so Brachus cursed her such that her souls separated, a wrenching of
Yes.
ether.
It stems from her, the betrayer of betrayers. Oh, you may think me a fool for forswearing love after a single instance of deception, but such was its intensity on my part. Time heals all wounds, a lie if ever there was one. I do, for they have demon blood running through their scoundrelly veins. Admittedly, unlike true demons, it is not impossible for an imp to be kind and mean it. Their volatility is not only highly annoying, in all too many situations it can be lethal. My ultimate purpose. Yes. Perhaps I shouldn't have mentioned that.
No jak jeszcze nie teraz? A kiedy?
Suffice to say that I do not live like others do. I do
No
not
taka
live for happiness,
zainteresowana.
for the joys these earthly hours may bestow. My existence is the hunt, and through that hunt I may just find deliverance. Soon I
Nieszczęśliwa
must confront my
miłość.
purpose, or perish. Oh, it doesn't just happen around here, it happens everywhere. And that is because those who perform feats of necromancy don't know their history. They are like the followers of ancient holy men that distort their examples' teachings with newfangled and perverted practices. What was art has become artifice. What had meaning lost it. I do not know what the likes of Evelyn want to accomplish, what their true end goal is, but you may be certain it is not the great pursuit. Life has no meaning to them. It is life they have lost.
Ja myślę, że mamy uratować tamtego karawaniarza i on tutaj właśnie przyjdzie. Może będziemy zniżki jakieś mieli.
Greater in pain than
Lord, what fools these mortals be. Irrational. Is it irrational for a mother's blood to run cold with unutterable horror at the sight of a serpent slithering through the very
Już
crib where her
nie
babe
unoś
lay
się, Jachan.
sleeping?
Opanuj.
Aversion, distrust and
Jak on
hate.
się z wężami bawił w
Such is the
kołysce.
grounded trinity that should be anyone's approach to demons.
No i co?
Do kołyski będzie się wężem bawił.
As to the trigger, cannot you make an educated guess?
Nie można się
Alcohol
z
is the
wężami bawić?
alcoholic's friend
Kogoś-
turned
O,
foe.
alkoholik.
With
Okej.
that you know enough.
Oh, how mighty, yet oh, how fallen. Astarte was born of the godflower soon after the coming of light.
I
She
am
shut
not
up
from any place anymore. I go where my quest leads me. Besides, the name would mean nothing to you. The glorious city in the glorious kingdom where I was born.
Wspaniałe miasto, cudowne
I
królestwo.
remember them well, the sandstone castles, hued like the very sun that batters their battlements without rest. I can see them still. The fountained gardens and halls of pearl-colored marble inlaid with gemstones set in shapes of plants and beasts. Yes, I can see them still, though when I try to focus on their details, like mirages, they dissolve upon approach. For 1,000 reasons, and for one especial. The 1,000 obvious ones are list with pleasure. The special one, that is my secret to keep. Hunter, I could find you cross-dressed under the spell of a dominant goblin, yet when next we'd meet there'd be no questions asked. 1. Their scourge taints the natural world. 2. Their machinations irreversibly
I tak do
corrupt
1000.
minds. 3. Their perversions seek to end all beauty. 4. Their schemes unhinge the fabric of space and time. 5. Their presence distorts
Yeah, no, bez kitu.
all intrinsic harmony. By all means, if you're in the mood for such a dark tale. Hiraka, oh, and how and yet, true happiness. Once upon a time, I was a king in a land of beauty to the east.
O,
A land of tigers and slender towers, of deserts and forests, of sun and all the world's wealth. I was a young king, handsome and all-powerful. Every nobleman would have killed his own brother if I promised to take his daughter's hand in marriage. But I refused their incessant implorations. I knew my life as a sovereign would be self-indulgent, but also a self-delusory one. And so a handful of years went by. The king's throne I myself occupied, whereas the queen's throne remained empty but for the court's cats that would nap the afternoons away upon its... But then one day, a young woman visited my kingdom. She was a poetess and a storyteller. People flocked to her, listened to her every word as if receiving mantras from the divines. I invited her to my palace, and soon our days, our nights, our love and our lives intertwined. It was an unparalleled horror. Scores of physicians flocked to my bedside. They traveled from realms across the seas hoping to cure the mighty Jehan. But none of their potions took effect. Their salves seared, but did not soothe my fading flesh. Like a ghoul I looked, unburied yet risen from the grave. In futile
Ona już
anger, I
rzuciła na niego
struck
ten
my mirror,
urok i
but
była
broke
demonem
my
i teraz
brittle
dlatego
fingers
demonów
only,
ściga?
not
Bo to
its
była taka
ever mocking surface.
nieszczęśliwie ulokował swoje uczucia?
But still
It went like this, Hunter.
Na to
The
wychodzi.
ghoul I had become, so a dark turn of thought convinced me. A ghoul's methods I should employ to escape the labyrinthian crypt of corporeal corruption. A necromancer I'd be. Yes, only from deep within the deliriums of death would I tunnel my way back into the gardens
A,
of
i
life.
stał się
I
nekromantą.
did unspeakable things in the dusky dungeons that twist like forgotten veins to long deceased organs.
Aby wyjść z
far beneath
choroby,
my castle's sunlit
robił
halls.
złe rzeczy.
Halls which held my throne and held the bed upon which Hiraka slept. Her very touch blessing the satin she reposed upon. Still there came no relief. Perversions I created in scores, but they were mere undead all. Creatures like mosquitoes in the night, panic and despair beset me until I turned to that darkest of all arts, demonology. It had to be. There was no other way. I could feel the life slipping out of me like love out of a betrayed spouse's heart. So I studied tomes so old the dust that fell from their centuries' unperused pages never knew the light of the stars that now shine. I drew forbidden symbols. I spoke unhallowed words, and from the smoke that rose like a dragon's last breath, a demon appeared to me and said, "Ask, O blighted king, and you shall have." "Just tell me," I cried, "tell me what ails me." "Hiraka."
Hiraka.
Never had I known a single word can cut deeper than the sharpest of daggers. With maddening glee, the demon told me she was one of his kin, a soul-swallowing horror that had been feeding on both my body and my spirit like a leech. An ancient being was she, that moved from king to king throughout the ages, filling their hearts with love, then draining them of life. After such revelations, does one truly desire to live on? Death seemed like a mother then, welcoming me with her all will be well embrace. Yet still I feared exceedingly her seemingly sweet caress. It smiled, of course it did. Smiled bare 100 razors as its eyes came alight with infernal fire. 1,000 years I will give you.
Uwiążą chyba miał być.
But then your soul shall be mine to incarcerate in the depths of hellish nemesis. As for yours, I did. Yes, I hissed, fool that I was. I should have died that day. But instead, I fell into a stupor and awoke in a different realm of Rivellon, bereft of all my wealth, and with my soul betrothed to a demon's debauchery that would be 10 centuries in the making.
Aha, i tak się tu zjawił.
That life-seeding obscenity of a creature. For I was my young, my healthy self again. And yet, my bodily convalescence merely betrayed my utter mental degradation. A necromancer and a demonologist I had become. A lowly conjurer of atrocities whose every heartbeat screamed Hiraka and pumped the bitterest of biles through my being.
Widzisz, kręciłem nosem, kręcił nosem i...
In the wilds, a companion of beasts, not man. It was there that I learned
I on
to
pewnie
love
teraz
and
chce
sow
jakąś
the
przysięgę
animals of
zerwać.
this world. These gentle beings that don't know the meaning of betrayal or greed, that kill but to feed.
Może się Jahana uda uratować.
Pleasure. In time, resolve settled within my soul, despite being so irrevocably besieged by dissolution. I decided that I wouldn't accept the shackling of my being so easily. 1,000 years the demon had given me, and 1,000 years I dedicate to pitting my knowledge of demonology against its eponymous creatures. Yes, it
Ciekawe.
is my resolve to kill the thing I summoned, and I have been stalking it for well over 9 centuries. I, Hunter, I am nearly 1,000 years old. 25 of them a king, the rest a restless predator. Balberith is the demon's name. If I don't find and slay him before the year is out, my soul will be his to torture eternally. Now you know what drives me. Now you know the
Czas ci się
reasons
kończy,
for my
Jahan.
quest. Either I fail and suffer for all time, or I win and life everlasting will be mine. That is a good question. As for Hiraka, I don't know what happened to her. I have seen my erstwhile palace from afar, a ruin now, a house of wind and dust. Beyond a poor man. Like all men, he's a fool. Oh, but how I long to be wise. There has to be a first, hasn't there? If I can look her in the eye and denounce her, that shall be a start. But perhaps that day will never come. Born a fool and buried a fool. Perhaps that is simply how it must be.
Ale ja chcę się dowiedzieć, gdzie ten demon jeszcze? Tam było pytanie.
Pull him, but fast she failed.
Yes, let's get this over with.
O, jest.
Childhood, the one
My
waiting
instincts tell me he hides from sight in Phantom Forest.
W widmowym
I could
lesie.
have guided you there, of course, but your own quest seems to push us inevitably in that haunted realm's direction.
Mhm. Ale twoja własna misja zdaje się nas spychać w tym kierunku.
Maybe we'll
Okej.
both find answers. Answers and conclusions in that ghoulish More prey awaits.
Nice. No tu się dowiedzieliśmy trochę. Ja bym... Gdzie ty jesteś? Ten już szabruje coś tam.
Patrzę co tu jest.
Wygląda się po
Teraz
mieście.
pogadamy o
What a
Jahanie, patrz.
life it is that Jehan has led. Like listening to a great
Ale wam się
tragedy.
na plotki
A
zebrało.
tragedy that is about to come to an end.
The deathly hag.
To an end, yes. A tragedy no longer. There's time yet to slay that demon and save Jehan.
Purple evil at her hip. Excitement on her snapper.
Indeed. Balberith be damned.
Podoba mi się pierwsza część tego zdania, druga niekoniecznie.
Maids and husbands and
Okej.
children that would surely shriek.
A i tu już... I tu powinniśmy się do niej dostać. Tu nic więcej nie ma chyba. O, zając! Kicaj! Zobacz jak kica, dawaj go.
She brought out her vial.
Tss. Powodzenia, króli smoku. A weź pierwsze, ciekawe.
Funny. Do your imperfect eyes fail to recognize my true nature? A rabbit I may be without, but a dragon I remain within.
Dawaj pierwsze.
Even an eternal creature of legend and myth needs a vacation from the limelight now and then. Sometimes it does one good to hop about among the clover without one's every waking moment remembered in song and story.
Okej.
Okej. Ambitny królik.
To co, idziemy na pajęczą królową?
A ja bym poszedł tutaj do wioski goblinów, odsłonił teleport, ale jak
Ale
No
ten
dobra.
teleport to trzeba dookoła, to nie przez wioskę
Nie.
goblinów. Tak.
No my byliśmy na dole tam i nie mogliśmy, więc trzeba iść tędy właśnie, gdzie ja tu idę.
No tak, zgadza się.
No.
Gdzie to wy jesteście?
Gods be damned. You cows smell something fierce.
Ktoś gada z tymi?
Howdy. Lovely day for a romp through the forest, ain't it? Ha! Like hell. Goblins round here
Co to są
swarm as
za
thick as
zwierzaczki?
flies round my cattle's asses.
Krówki.
Put an axe in my bodyguard's face, one of them did. Right so. You wish to partake in a polite little parley about our respective prospects, purposes, and expectations in life. I'm Roy. I'm in the animal trade. And instead of knocking back cheap rye and silver gland, I'm stuck in a friggin' forest surrounded by totem-worshipping savages that want to use my privates for target practice. There.
Z
Now
czego
you
oni
know
do
it
niego
all.
strzelają?
Aye, my latest set
Yeah,
of
I've done.
merchandise. Joy to herd 'em, that lot, until they crap all over your shoes, that is. Won't cost
Jeszcze
any
wyjdzie na to,
fortunes
że on
on
będzie miał tą
Black's
owcę od
wages
tamtej
much longer,
babki,
though.
której zaginęła
Bought 'em
owca.
for cheap from
Pewnie
Berkshire
tak.
back full of lunatics, that place, or so I've been told. They'll slice these beasts from ear to ear the moment they can get their hands on them. You? Donnie, boss, some thug from Side Seal he was. All balls, no brains, you know. Perfect set of qualities to lead me past them zombies, I figured. Figured right, I did, until we met them goblins. Now, you can have balls bigger than that bull over there, but it takes a fair bit of wit and cunning to beat a goblin at the hunting game. And Donnie, I tell you, the simple soul would have believed you if you told him eggs grow on eggplants. Not but your typical mining settlement is Silver Glen. You know the kind. Rough and tumble shacks, rough and tumble workfolk, and a handful of women that let their petticoats drop to the floor the moment they see a shiny coin between your fingers.
Taki wygadany, a ma 0 kuźwa kasy w ekwipunku.
No kidding.
Nawet 130 nie ma jak zwykły wieśniak.
With swords and spears for
No.
talent.
A wchodzą
Donnie
takie
and I
rzeczy.
must have
Jeszcze
adventured
by go
too
ukradli.
far north. I'm just gonna hang low until I can no longer smell him, and then I'll make a dash for it. Without an escort this time.
Tendency to state the obvious.
Na razie mu niczego nie obiecam. Pogadasz z krowami? Może powiedzą coś ciekawego.
Beasts to the slaughter. I say we slaughter him.
Okej.
Your interest in my modest person truly flatters me. My name is Doreen, and this is my husband, my flame, my love, my Valentine, Maurice.
On właśnie powiedział, że mają im gardła pod
Oh,
to.
Maurice, darling, do be quiet. He never bothered to master the human tongue, you see, and is therefore wholly incapable of indulging in this delightful conversation.
Moo.
Yes, that'll do, Maurice. He's just so excited, don't you know, as am I, to go to the golden pastures of Silver Glen. Roy, our owner, has been going on and on about how all of us will soon be in a better place indeed.
Your interest. Oh,
A to
Maurice.
było.
Yes,
A
that'll
to?
Dear me. Slaughter, blood, this cannot be. We must do something. Maurice,
Zabiją go.
darling, do something. Bit late for that, innit? Trust you to raise a moot point, Maurice. Oh, kind human, have mercy on us poor animals. Deliver us from certain death in horrid Silver Glen.
Smell something fierce.
Hey, sheep.
Czy one chcą, żebyśmy kupili je, czy ten? A pogadam z tym. Z Team Fredem. To jest ziom.
I assume you address me for
Oj.
more prey.
Wlazłeś mi przed ten i nie widzę dialogu.
Mordo
I
zając.
So let the hunt
Czemu ty mnie klikasz?
Co jest
Jestem
ziom?
Team Fred. Mordo git zając, kumasz.
Such legs she has. Such
Say what? I ain't joining that party, mate. I'm off. Cheers.
Na razie.
Właśnie najadł trawy.
You know where you'll want, but I'm not.
A owca?
Later.
Back here, damn rabbit. Son of a
You always
bat
say the
out of hell.
sweetest
Get
things,
back.
but you may skewer one of them.
Ram, roamer, and reveller. Revel in what you ask. The beauty that is Doreen. That is this sweet, nay, this cherubic
O,
cow.
Bruce
The cutest of her
Baran
kind
zakochany w
ever
krowie, okej.
Why, yes. Do tell me, have you ever beheld a bovine belle as elegant as her? No, for such a
Jakieś
cow
słodkie i
not
puchate byłoby nasze
would
potomstwo.
I
Wow.
partake in the privilege that bore of a bull leaving lambs on a lavender eiderdown. Tell me it isn't true. Am I to go like a sheep to the... Well, you know the horrid freeze. Please, help me, help me.
Co robimy?
I can picture it now. Humans with knives the
To
size
da
of
się z nim
swords.
pogadać coś?
Well. The wee wabbit went away, eh? How wonderful. Blast your eyes. That cursed coney would have fetched me a pretty penny if it weren't for your meddling.
In the end, you can't skewer them all.
Aye, my latest set 'em full of lunatics, that place. Or so I've been told. They'll what? You're soft of heart, are you? The poor dears shouldn't be killed. I should just give up on the gold elf. Seriously. Shut it. You think I risk life and limb for a bit of beef and mutton? Either you pay me in gold, or you leave me alone before all this chatter attracts the damn goblins.
A ile chce za nie?
Powinnam wygrać.
I can picture it now. Humans with knives the size of swords. We're doomed, Maurice. Doomed. Oh, you always say the sweetest things. But you may
shit.
skewer one of them with your horns. Perhaps even as much as 5.
Oh shit.
In the end, you can't skewer them all. Poor Maurice. We're doomed.
Wygrałam.
There's certainly something to be said for that. Risk my life for a rabbit and such? Madness. I'm out.
No ty musisz z nimi pogadać teraz. Jesteście wolni i rój was
Champion,
zostawi.
I am in your debt. Maurice and I are infinitely grateful. May neither thine horns nor thine
I
udders
wymiona
ever
zawsze
wither.
okazale się prezentują. Niech twoje wymiona się okazale prezentują.
Ale jak to prawda, no to co?
Dobra, chodźcie tu pajęczycę pokonać, tego gościa uwolnić i będziemy mogli iść dalej. Co jest znowu? Być może
jest
uda
znowu?
nam się odnaleźć legendarne pastwiska, o których mówił ten
właśnie.
paskudnik Roy. Może istnieją naprawdę. Tacy jak on mają zbyt ubogą wyobraźnię, by wymyślić tak cudowne miejsce. Choć może prościej i wygodniej byłoby po prostu wrócić do...
To co mam? Bo nie wiem, czy czekają was same niebezpieczeństwa. No właśnie, czy one nie zginą gdzieś jak pójdą. A tak, może będą mogły wrócić. Nie wiem.
Nie mam pojęcia.
Ruszajcie ku nowym
Follow
pastwiskom.
your dream, I say. Seek those pastures.
Okej. Ja
Albo-
boję się, że oni
Bo,
pójdą...
No nie wiem. I gdzieś zginą. Możliwe.
Shit. Są orki.
A teleport odkryłeś?
No nie wiem, czy odkryłem. Dostałem expa, to na pewno. Ale dalej nie wchodziłem, bo tam orki są.
Dawaj trójkę, będziemy się bili.
Lead them to Sicil, and they'll most probably end up as undead cattle before the day is out.
Consider this. Between the known and the unknown, which is always the safer course? Why? The known, naturally.
No to by 4 uzupełnia, a mi 3. O, jakie chamstwo.
Jakie to głupie.
Ale emocje, unfry, kuźwa.
Wierzę na słowo.
Teraz jak Kalipso wygra, to wygra kłótnie.
A krowy, zające i to wszystko i tak już poszło. Poszło czy nie? Bo
Nie,
nawet
stoją.
nie widzę. Tak? O, nice.
O, Eny.
Ja pierniczę. Jak w życiu bym powiedziała, dobra? Nie mam pojęcia, no któryś z nas musi ustąpić, co teraz?
No to wybierz coś.
No to wybieram coś.
Normalnie jak coś, to byłem bardzo
Wiedziałam, że tak weźmiesz, patrz, wiedziałam,
Very well,
porobiłam
have it
się.
your way.
Niech dobrze, niech ci będzie. No, wracają do Sajsu. Okej, to idziemy tutaj.
Dobra, to może tutaj cięcie, co? Ale te pajęczycy zostawiliśmy z tyłu i na orki idziemy teraz. O matko, co tu biega? Amadeus i Archibald. Ja bym tu pajęczycy zrobiła, to byśmy mieli to zrobione i tylko...
No to idziemy.
I tego biedaka bym odprowadziła z powrotem do... No myślę, że on pobiegnie sam do nich, no bo żeśmy tylko jego tam zostawili. Takie niedokończone to biedne. Okej?
Nie pojęcie, co?